Right, we're going to talk through the Gcse exam from 2018, paper 2. There's two ways you can use this video. The first one is to turn the volume off and work through the exam paper. The second is once you've done the exam paper, we can go through it question by question. Right, identify one effect that beta blockers may have on a performer in sport which could aid their performance. So if we read what the examiner says, this question requires candidates to recall an effect of beta blockers on a performer in sport that relates to their performance. This is a question 1 assessment objective. This topic is part of the ethical and social cultural issues in part of physical activity in sport. Most candidates scored the marks available, with the majority responding by linking these drugs to lowering or controlling heart rate, with the high ability candidates linking this with blocking the effects of adrenaline. A small majority of candidates confuse this type of drug with one that builds muscle. So, on the mark scheme, it's got 1 mark for helps to control lower heart rate or keeps the performer calm, relax or less, controls anxiety, lowers arousal, or blocks action of adrenaline, or improves concentration focus. Okay. Question 2. Give 2 ways in which gender might affect participation in physical activity and sport. So the examiner says, this question required candidates to link gender and participation rather than performance. This question has 2 marks for it. The higher ability candidates were able to score full marks by successfully linking either males or females with participation. These candidates often stated that males are more likely to participate in sport, and some activities are traditionally linked to either males or females. The lower ability candidate often wrote about lack of opportunities rather than referring to gender. So the mark scheme says males more likely to participate in sport, or females less likely to participate in sport, or more male dominated sports. Number 2, males more likely to participate in competitive activities, or females less likely to participate in competitive activities, or females more likely to be intimidated. 3. Some activities traditionally linked to males/females, or females don't want to play male sports and males don't want to play female sports, or examples of this, e.g. males for boxing and females for dancing. 4. Less funding. Sponsorship availability for female sports that leads to lower participation, or better funding for males that leads to higher rates of participation. 5. Male-female discrimination, e.g. females banned from golf clubs. 6. Fewer lack of female role models, or lack of female sport media coverage, or focus on males, more male role models in media. Examples of health factors affecting female participation, e.g. pregnancy. It says do not accept stereotyping on its own. Less prize money for females, lack of opportunities, clubs, teams for females is too vague. You've actually got to go into a little bit of detail which we talked through just. Right, question 3a. Identify one reason for deviance in sport. So from the mark screen, we've got 1 mark from the pressure, expectations to win or to gain an unfair advantage, or pressure from fans, spectators, parents, coaches or teammates, or to enhance performance, because you are losing, to gain financial reward. Spectators might copy performance deviance, a reaction to poor decisions by officials, as retaliation/revenge, copying others, or as a result of taking drugs. Okay, pressure on its own, if you just write pressure, is too vague, you do not get a mark. If you just write frustration on its own, it's too vague, you do not get a mark. If you write frustration due to losing, you do get a mark. To win at all costs also equals a mark. Write B. Give two different practical examples of gamesmanship using a different sports for each one. So key there, different sports. So this question requires two practical examples and is therefore linked to a AO2 assessment objective. Lower ability candidates confuse gamesmanship with sportsmanship and incorrectly gave examples such as shaking the hands of a football opponent, or gave an explanation of gamesmanship rather than practical examples, or gave examples of fouls rather than examples of gamesmanship. The higher ability candidate gave two relevant examples from two different sports, such as football player diving to claim a penalty. So, mark scheme. 2 marks for examples must be from different sports for 2 marks. Can be the same type of gamesmanship, e.g. time wasting, but must be different actions. See examples for guidance. E.g. a footballer diving to claim a foul, a netball player holding her opponent, a tennis player delaying the serve, a sprinter distracting other competitors, moving the ball closer to the posts when taking a penalty kick in rugby. I mean, for me, a lot of those are also rule breakings, but I'd be looking also at a cricketer, sort of sledging in cricket. It's not against the rules, but you're trying to put the opponent off. I like the delaying the serve in tennis. It's not breaking the rules. Once again, that is gamesmanship. Okay, number 4, which one of the following is the best strategy to improve participation in physical activity and sport with higher quality provision? Put a tick in the box next to the correct answer, and the correct answer is C. Right, what is meant by commercialisation in sport? This question is an AO1 assessment objective, and the higher ability candidates referred accurately to businesses using sport to make a profit. The lower ability candidates merely describe what a business might contribute to sport, such as sponsorship, without defining the term commercialisation. So, the mark, the influence of commerce, trade/business on sport to make profit and money, or those that organise, promote sport, try to make money and profit. So you've got to talk about it. Outside agency, a business influencing sport and trying to make money from it. Question 6. Identify one type of social media that influences the commercialisation of sport. So this question was an AO1 assessment objective. Many lower ability candidates recognise the word media rather than the phrase social media, and for examples consequently named television rather than types of social media such as Facebook and Twitter. So once again, that's reading the question. If you had just picked out media, you'd have got the answer wrong. If you actually discuss social media, you'd have got the answer right. So we're looking for answers such as 1 mark for Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, Strava, except all relevant examples of social media. Right, question 7. Complete the following statement using numbers and words from the box below. So what should be participation in sport from the age of 16 to 24 has decreased since 2005, and approximately 50% participation in sport for at least 30 minutes once a week. Okay, so that's just putting those correct things in the right boxes. Give 2 mental preparation techniques a sports performer might use to prepare themselves before a competition. So you would be getting marks for imaginary or imagining success, winning, playing well, or visualization. Number 2, mental rehearsal or mentally going over actions and strategies. 3, selective attention or blocking out distractions or focusing. 4, thinking positively or negative thoughts, stopping or positive self-talk or self-encouragement. Relaxation techniques or meditation or mindfulness. Now, listen to music to calm down is a mark, which is fine. Listen to music on its own is too vague. Breathing techniques on its own is too vague. Breathing techniques to calm down would gain you the mark. Right, number 9. Give 1 practical example of a sports skill that is classified as an open skill on the environmental continuum. So this question is an AO1 assessment objective and requires candidates to name a practical sports skill rather than the name of a sport. The majority of candidates scored the 1 mark available. So the mark scheme says accept any sports skill example that is clearly affected by the environment and therefore is an open skill, e.g. receiving a tennis serve or a goalkeeper attempting to save a penalty or a pass in football. Look for examples where the performer adapts their actions as a result of the environmental aspects. Do not accept tennis serve unless qualified, e.g. changing your tennis serve as a result of your opponent's moving. Or examples such as basketball free throw or taking a penalty in football. Now, if you're taking a penalty in football, you might have practiced putting the ball in the top corner over and over again. So in theory, that skill becomes a little bit more closed. As a goalkeeper saving a penalty, you have to react to where the ball is, so the skill becomes a lot more open. If you're taking a free throw in basketball, you can practice that over and over and over again, and it does not change, so it becomes more of a closed skill. But if you're performing a layup in a game situation where a defender could block you, suddenly that becomes a more open skill. So it's making sure we don't go for examples which are more closed, which you will not get the mark. Right, number 10. Define the term motor skill and give an example of predetermination as a characteristic of a skillful performer. So it's given a definition and an example. So this question is in 2 parts, with the first requiring candidates to give a definition of the term motor skill for 1 AO mark and then give an example of a predetermination of a skillful performer for an AO2 mark. The higher ability candidates did both for 2 marks, stating movement as an important part of their answer for the first part, and for the second, giving an example involving a performer's deciding, knowing, and meaning to perform a described sport motor skill. The lower ability candidates often misread the question and simply gave a characteristic of a skillful performer or repeated the word predetermined, which is in the question, which we don't do. Right, number 10. So the definition of a motor skill: an action, task, skill that involves body, limbs, movement, or movements. Examples of predetermined, e.g. a footballer deciding, knowing, remembering, meaning to, where to kick the ball before taking a penalty, or a netball player deciding, knowing, remembering, meaning where to pass the ball next before receiving the ball from a fellow player. So, do not accept movement on its own. Accept any relevant physical example for predetermined characteristics. Accept practical examples using the term routine, e.g. a gymnastics routine or dance routine. Accept rehearsal without example. With example. Accept rehearsal with example. Right, number 11. Which one of the following is the best practical example showing knowledge of performance as a type of feedback? Put a tick in the box next to the correct answer. Now, the correct answer is D, knowledge of performance, which is a netball player being told by her teammate that her shooting technique was incorrect in the previous match. Number 12. Is this statement true or false? Draw a circle around your answer. A sprint start off the blocks in a 100 meters race, an example of a sinful skill, and the answer is true. Right, number 13, describe one advantage and one disadvantage of using mechanical guidance in the learning of a motor skill. Okay, this question attracted two AO3 assessment objectives, which assesses candidates' ability to answer and evaluate factors that underpin performance and involve physical activity and sport. The question demands a description rather than merely identified factors. The higher ability candidates understood the nature of mechanical guidance and often described well that an advantage is the mechanical guidance gives the performance a sense of confidence or safety, and then correctly describes a disadvantage being that the performer will often over-reliant on mechanical guidance. The lower ability candidate often confused mechanical with manual guidance. So number 13, the answers. So the advantage, looking for, can give confidence, sense of security, or can be safe for practice, or can give some idea of how the skill feels kinesthetically, so actually as you're moving. Disadvantage, it can lead to over-reliance, or can give a sense of false security, or it takes away the true sense feeling of the skills or slows down the learning of the skill. Do not accept opposites for more than 1 mark. E.g., advantage can give idea of feeling of the skill. Disadvantage, do not the true feeling of the skill. So opposites aren't going to get a mark. A reminder, mechanical guidance is when you use a machine. So for example, a bowling machine in cricket, which puts the ball in the same place over and over and over again, and then you can practice that shot over and over again. Right, number 14. Give a practical example of manual guidance being used to improve a motor skill in sport. Okay, so this question demands a practical example and is therefore an AO2 assessment objective. The majority of candidates were able to give a valid example, such as a coach physically supporting a gymnast for a handstand. Those that did not score the mark often used the word guide or show rather than giving a sense of physical support by a third party, such as a coach. So, the mark scheme, accept any relevant examples of manual guidance in sport to physically help aid a performer, e.g. physically supporting a gymnast doing a handstand, or a coach holding the arm of a golfer and forcing their hands through a drive movement. A coach helping a gymnast do a handstand would equal too vague. Must have an idea of physical help or support. Okay, do not accept guiding because guiding is in the question. Okay, so you're looking for a coach helping a gymnast do a handstand by holding their legs. Okay, so you've got to put in the fact that there is some form of physical, as in the touching them, guidance within the movement. 15. Which one of the following is the best example of a meal that is high in fibre? Put a tick in the box next to the correct answer. Okay, the answer is B, a jacket potato with baked beans. A lot of people got this wrong and they put A, but in A it shows that it says white bread, which is lower in fibre. Okay, so just added the word white bread. If it had been brown bread, it may have got a mark. Okay, but the answer was B, a baked jacket potato with baked beans. So 16, what is meant by the term fitness? So we're looking for a definition here. Okay, fitness is a person's capacity to carry out activity without getting tired or fatigued, or what your body is capable of in sport, or being able to cope with demands of everyday life and sport. The ability to function effectively and efficiently. Okay, so give a definition and you get your mark. B, obesity, type 2 diabetes, and a decrease in physical fitness can be a consequence of a sedentary lifestyle. Describe one physical consequence of a sedentary lifestyle. So the examiner says, this question requires a description and attracts 2 AO1 marks, showing the knowledge and understanding. Those that did not score a marks for this question often ignored the word physical in the question and therefore gave emotional consequences rather than physical ones. Another common error for candidates was to refer to obesity or fitness, even though the question asks for other physical consequences. The higher ability candidates describe well physical consequences of a sedentary lifestyle, such as increased likelihood of raised blood pressure or a decrease in bone density. So what we're looking for here is increased likelihood of injury, increased likelihood of raised blood pressure, more likely to suffer or increased risk of cardiac or heart attack or stroke or heart disease, more likely to suffer or increased risk of respiratory or lung disease, a decrease in bone density or more likely to suffer a bone disease, may cause poor posture, increase in weight. Do not accept a decrease in physical fitness, obesity and type 2 diabetes because that is in the question. Do not accept increased likelihood of illness, it's too vague. Do not accept heart disease or examples of illnesses on their own. Needs to add a description, e.g. increase in heart disease. Do not accept stiffness of joints, lack of mobility, not having enough energy. Physical fitness is in the question. Do not accept arthritis, accept osteoporosis, accept any other described named illness that is a consequence of sedentary lifestyle. You've got to be careful with that question to make sure we pick out the right answers. So 17, is this statement true or false? Draw a circle around your answer. A balanced diet is taking in more energy than the body needs for energy expenditure. So the answer is false. 18, water is an important component of an athlete's diet. Give one other component of the diet that is particularly important for long distance runners to help provide energy before a race. So we know this is carbohydrates. Okay, please don't shorten it to carbs. Write carbohydrates as your full answer. Do not accept a food type rather than a component, e.g. you can't put bananas. Okay, you have to be writing carbohydrates. Be very specific on that. 19. Describe one practical example of how sport or physical activity might provide the social benefits of belonging to a group. This question involves AO2 assessment objective and the higher ability candidates describe well how joining a sports team such as a hockey team can lead to meeting people or making friends, with some excellent answers such as the elderly joining a bowls club and gaining a sense of belonging. The lower ability candidates often did not give a full described example and omitted the sports context in their answer. So what we're looking for is joining a football, hockey or netball sports team or taking part in sport to make friends, meet new people or to cooperate or gain a sense of belonging or for communication skills or leadership. Going to a football match to make or be with friends, or attending a football team dinner to be with my friends. Accept any team, group, game, physical activity, or attending a sports event with a description. Do not accept merely the name of the sport activity. There must be a description of the activity linked to the social benefit of belonging to a group, e.g. playing football to make friends. Do not accept team, social skill as a social benefit / engaged. It will be too vague. You need to actually make sure you name a sport and you name the social benefit as well. So number 20. Vitamins provide many health and fitness benefits which can help sports performers. Name a food which is a good source of vitamins. So, fruits such as oranges, raspberries, or vegetables such as broccoli, kale, etc., or milk, orange juice, etc. Except any food that is high in vitamins. You cannot put fruit because it is not a type of food. You cannot put vegetables. Once again, that is too vague. You cannot just write meat. You have to write, for instance, fruit such as an orange. Okay, vegetables such as broccoli. If you write fruit by itself, you do not get a mark. 21. Emotional well-being can be affected by leading a sedentary lifestyle. What is meant by the term sedentary lifestyle? The examiner put, this question involves two AO1 assessment objectives and demands a definition of the term sedentary lifestyle. This term was misunderstood by the lower ability candidates who often wrote about diet rather than inactivity. The higher ability candidates not only scored the first mark for inactivity, but they then went on to score a second mark by showing what is meant by lifestyle. So, sedentary, inactivity or lack of activity or lack of exercise. So lifestyle, to get your second mark, a way of life or how you live your life or your actions, behaviours, or an example of sedentary life, e.g. sat at a desk all day. Okay, so you've got to write the definition pretty much of sedentary and then give an example of lifestyle as well. Lack of physical activity in the workplace and or in leisure time is 2 marks. Lack of activity with a link to lifestyle. If just an example is given, award 2 points. E.g. sat at a desk all day or office job is only 1 mark. Do not accept lifestyle on its own. A lifestyle that does not involve physical activity would be 1 mark. A way of life that does not involve physical activity would be 2 marks. Okay, if you wrote the word couch potato, that is too vague and you would not get a mark. Okay. Describe 2 ways in which a sedentary lifestyle might lead to low levels of self-esteem. Okay, this question follows on from the previous question, asking candidates to link a sedentary lifestyle with low levels of self-esteem. This question involves 2 AO1 assessment objectives. This was answered well by most candidates who described well how the likelihood of obesity can link to a negative body image, and that this lifestyle can lead to low levels of social interaction. Again, those that scored nil marks misunderstood the terms sedentary and self-esteem. Okay, so what we're looking from the mark scheme is a lack of energy or feeling lethargic or a lack of fitness, more likely to be obese, overweight or negative body image, lack of interest or motivation, less likely to benefit from social interaction, have fewer social experiences or poor communication or fewer friends, or less likely to belong to a group or isolate or loneliness, lack of motor skills and ability. Do not accept lack of confidence on its own. B. Explain how physical activity can help to raise levels of self-esteem. This question demands an explanation and attracts two AO3 assessment objectives. The explanation needs to be a full one to gain the marks available, with the lower ability level candidates making points such as being fitter or healthier, but not then explaining how this might lead to high levels of self-esteem. The higher ability candidates made those links, for example, stating that having a better body image will lead to the performer feeling better about themselves. So we are looking for can help to raise energy levels, fitness, so that you feel better about yourself. Have a better body image, lose weight, or way you look, or you look better and therefore feel better and be more positive. More likely to be healthier and feel better, which means you're more positive. 4. Raise your levels of confidence or being successful, winning, achieving goals, performing well. 5. Activity releases hormones, endorphins, chemicals that make you feel better, happier or more positive. 6. More likely to engage in social relationships, more likely to have friends that reduce loneliness, make you feel more connected with others. 7. Learning new skills with stimulants, your interests make you happier. Accept only explanations rather than identifications of advantages. C. Explain how physical and emotional benefits can help young people to manage stress. So this question carries 4 AO3 assessment objective marks. The question asks for an explanation, and those that explained rather than merely described scored well on this question. Responses were required to link and manage stress, and therefore simply stating less likely to be ill or to get fit were not explanations. Those that linked their points with lowering, controlling stress, or linked to young people feeling better, more relaxed or less worried showed the explanation required. So, the mark scheme. You got 4 marks. Less likely to be injured and therefore less stressed. Less likely to be ill or suffer from diseases, or if you named an illness, or feel healthier, therefore less stress. Number 3, more likely to control your weight and therefore less likely to be stressed. 4, have better body posture and therefore less stress. 5, more likely to be fit and therefore less stress. 6, activity can release stress bursting hormones, endorphins. 7, get rid of excess energy, tension for less stress, relaxes you and can feel a characteristic or frustration of aggression, anger, releases when exercising and therefore less stress. Don't forget, stressors to clear your mind, make you more confident and therefore less stressed, better body image, so you feel less stressed about your appearance, using relaxation techniques from yoga classes may lead to less stress, anxiety or exercise, releases muscle tensions so that you can feel relaxed. 12. Having fun, enjoyment reduces stress, or enjoying being with others, friends to reduce stress. 13. Winning a game, tournament, good performance can improve self-esteem, reduces stress. 14. Sense of belonging or provide a support network to reduce stress. Response should refer to ways of managing stress, e.g. lowering, controlling stress, or being happier, less anxious, feeling better, relaxes, removes worries. Do not accept on its own managing stress, because it's in the question. Accept physical activity may help to control your weight and increase your fitness to make you less stressed. You would get 2 marks for that. Right, 22A. Using practical examples, explain how SMART goal setting can improve a specific skill in a physical activity or sport of your choice. So, this question carried 4 AO2 assessment objectives. Therefore, candidates are expected to apply their knowledge and understanding of physical activity and sport. In this case, practical examples are required for each element of the SMART principle of goal setting, apart from specific, which formed part of the question. The higher ability candidate identified correctly a specific skill and then explained well how the measurable, achievable, recorded and time frame elements can lead to skill improvement using practical examples linked to their identified skill. Some excellent answers were often drawn for candidates' own experiences in developing specific sports skill. The lower ability candidates did not give any practical examples and often just explained each element of the SMART principle without linking it to a chosen specific skill. A few lower ability candidates did not identify a specific skill, for example, just naming a sport. So, we have got 1. Skill practice should be measurable, e.g. to improve shooting in hockey, see how many shots out of 20 can be scored. So this is your explanation. So what we want is here a practical activity / sport. So it could be, for instance, you could write football, which is your sport. Your skill would be scoring a penalty. Okay, so actually specific skill of scoring a penalty. So first of all, you would describe measurable, and you would say that it is measurable. You can score, you can take 20 penalties, and if you score 10, you can write that down and you can measure your score. So skill practice should be achievable. So the football player should be at the right standard to be able to cope with the practice. There's no point saying, well, what we're going to do is we're going to get you to take penalties or get you to take 50-yard free kicks, which you can't actually kick the ball that far. Okay, or ask a 5-year-old to take a penalty from the penalty spot because he couldn't actually kick the ball that far into the goal, so it wouldn't be achievable. Okay, skill practice can be recorded or realistic. See examples of achievable, e.g. the amount of shots scored should be recorded, kept in a diary by player or coach. The goal set should be within a time frame, e.g. 3 weeks of shooting practice. The amount of goals scored by the hockey player should get greater and greater because it shows that you're improving. One specific skill must be used for marks to be awarded. except if embedded in examples or not listed on the line provided. Accept only the first named skill in the explanation. Do not accept other named skills examples in the explanation. No marks available for specific points. Specific is in the question. Each smart point must be linked to a practical example to score marks. Accept realistic for recorded, but as a substitute for achievable. So with this, if you don't write your sport, if you don't write your skill, or if you change skill mid-question, you do not get your mark. So for instance, if you're doing football, your skill is taking a penalty, measurable, achievable, recordable, and time all need to be linked to taking a penalty in football. So B, using practical examples, discuss how goal setting can motivate performers in physical activity and sport. Describe how appropriate goal setting can help to prevent injury to performers. This question includes 4 AO2 assessment objectives and 2 AO3 assessment objectives. This question, indicated by the asterisks on the question paper, involved an assessment of the quality of written communication, as well as applying knowledge and analysing and evaluating factors related to goal setting in physical activity and sport. This question also includes a synoptic assessment link required by the specification, linking goal setting in component 2 with prevention of injury in component 1. Many candidates were able to show their knowledge of goal setting with a higher ability writing fluently and accurately. Candidates were generally well prepared for this type of extended question, with some showing a small amount of planning before writing their response. These candidates that reached level 3 in the levels mark scheme addressed all parts of the question, including motivating performers and preventing injury. The very best, who scored a full 6 marks available, covered all the assessment objectives in detail and showed excellent development of each point made. These candidates included several practical examples to show how goal setting can motivate performers as well as preventing injury. The lower ability candidates did not address all the variables in the question, often leaving out either motivation or the reducing injury part of the question. These candidates did not attain more than level 2 in the level mark scheme, often showed good knowledge but were unable to gain AO2 marks because of the lack of application of the knowledge. The lower ability candidates were often unable to write accurately, with many spelling and grammatical errors that at times impeded the reading of their responses. So, what we were looking for you to do is goal setting. So indicate content using practical examples, discuss how goal setting can motivate performers in sport. Goal setting can inspire, drive performance, drive, challenge, excite to achieve your best or something to aim for. Improve performance can motivate, for example, to set a time for a personal best in the 100 meters. Goal setting can motivate performers to train harder, more regularly, stick to training, or start training seriously. The drive to train prepared more effectively because the need to fulfill goals, to win, to be better. Okay, example, a tennis player puts more hours into practice her forehand. Goal setting using a SMART method can be motivating. Reference to the elements of SMART can give focuses, enables monitoring progress, no response and no response worth of credit. Oh, sorry, ignore that last bit. Okay, indicate content, describe how appropriate goal setting can prevent injury in sport. So I might be missing the page. 22. Right, sorry. E.g., a rugby player sets a personal goal of completing 80% successful tackles in the next game. 4. Goals can be split into short and long-term goals. Short-term goals can incrementally lead to fulfillment of long-term goals and achieving targets step by step to gain good overall performance. Goals achieved can increase confidence, e.g., a gymnast who wishes to improve her floor routine will concentrate firstly on her opening tumbling sequence. Okay, so it's really going into much detail. Remember, every time there's an asterisk, it's writing in full sentences with full stops and your punctuation. Okay, and make sure we go into detail. Okay, and address all parts of the question. On these questions, I recommend that you underline, present practical examples, discuss goal setting, motivate, physical activity, sport. Then we're looking at describe appropriate goal setting and help prevent injury. Okay. Right, 23, figure 1. Below shows number of adults in millions taking part in sport, moderate intensity by frequency. A. Using the data shown in figure 1 above, assess the trends of participation in sport in 2015 and 16 and those in 2005 and 6. So this question includes 4 areas for assessment objectives, demanding analysis of data. The specification states that candidates should develop knowledge and understanding of data analysis in relation to key areas of physical activity and sport. Most candidates recognise that the trends in participation over the 2 time periods showed an increase. The higher ability candidates did not merely describe the data in figure 1, but assessed the trends by stating that all frequencies showed a rise, with Group B increasing the most. These candidates went on to state that more adults participated once a month rather than any other category, with a relatively low number exercising for more than once a week. These candidates also recognised that the population had increased between the 2 time periods and that this would have impacted on the results shown. The lower ability candidates either omitted this question or scored a single mark related to the point that more adults take part in 2015 to 2016. So what we're looking for, looking for your correct answer. Okay, so 23. Total number of adults who participate in sport has risen between 2005 and 2015. The frequency or intensity exercises has risen between 2005 and 2015. All the rise for all frequencies. Group B, once a week increased the most, or Group D, 3 times a week has increased the least. More adults participate for once a month rather than any other category. A once a month is greater than B, C and D. A relatively low levels, 20 to 30%, 16 to 20 million, less than a third of adults exercise for more than once a week compared to the population as a whole. 6. Or the rise of population has resulted in more participation. 7. Little or no change in percentage, proportion or population participating in any group frequency, except references to either group letters A to D or frequencies, e.g. once a month. So B, using practical examples, describe strategies to increase the frequency of adults taking part in sport. The examiner says, this question involves 4 AO2 marks demanding application of knowledge. with many candidates scoring well and showing a good understanding of strategies that might increase participation by adults. The higher ability candidates use practical examples throughout to describe these strategies, scoring the full 4 marks. The lower ability simply stated some ways of increasing participation, for example, making more facilities available, but did not link this to practical examples or could not score AO2 marks. So, going back to the mark scheme, what we're looking for is more information, education on the benefits, opportunities of regular sports participation, e.g. TV advertising to show benefits of regular exercise. Okay. 2, regular opportunities for coaches, instructors, enabling more frequent participation, e.g. fitness instructors available across the working day and evening. More facilities available for regular participation, e.g. ensuring that each community is served by a leisure centre. 4, facilities available for longer during the day to enable regular participation, e.g. local swimming baths open early morning and close late evening. 5, more accessible facilities or more localised facilities or better transport arrangements to gain access facilities, e.g. facilities having wheelchair ramps or a free local bus service is provided. 6, cheaper facilities for sports or concessions for more adults to be involved, e.g. local leisure centres give concessions for the elderly or cut price admission for regular users. 7, introduction of adapted games, e.g. walking football, walking basketball, touch rugby for adults. 8, activity sessions for adults only or age group sessions, e.g. adults 40 plus, 50 plus fitness classes. 9, provision for childcare, e.g. gyms that provide childcare, nursery, play groups, youth groups, so that parents can exercise. Right, 2. Identify 2 possible factors that prevent adults participating in sport in the UK. Oh, let's go back to this. So for this one, we are looking for illness, disease or health problems or injury, obesity, overweight, disabilities, lack of facilities, equipment or lack of infrastructure, coaches, expertise to help, lack of interest, motivation, friends, family, social groups do not participate, or lack of role models, discrimination, age, gender, race, etc., lack of awareness, information about opportunities to participate. 9, cultural or religious influences to prevent participation. 10, lack of confidence or lack of too embarrassed to participate. Environment or climate or location, lack of funds or too expensive or not good value for money. 13, lack of time or too many work commitments or other family caring responsibilities. 14, lack of adults provision or lack of provision for adults. Okay, so what we're looking for here, I thought it was an okay exam paper, but once again we learned that you need to go into detail with every question. One, you've got to read it carefully, and if it says a sporting example, you have got to add a sporting example. If it says describe or discuss, you have to actually compare and contrast. You can't just state a fact. Okay, any problems, and we can go through it in class.